like on the bus, I'd pretend to be a velociraptor and shit. It was really obnoxious.
Hello and welcome to the QUACKCAST, the Drunkduck QUACKCAST. I'm Ozone Ocean. This is QUACKCAST number 496. And with me is Baines, Pitt, and Tons. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello.
You did it in order. You're so cool, guys. You're so cool. So this week we're talking about titles, how to come up with your comic title. This was a news post that Emma Claire did. She came up with it and had all these helpful hints about how to come up with your comic title. So thank you for that, Em. But before
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get into that, though, we've got to talk about the featured comic that Kawaii gave us last week on Wednesday, and she gave us she featured a comic called Good Words with Seiko, the Beautiful Heart of a Stego Girl. So, the Beautiful Heart of a Stego Girl. So this would be an anthropomorphic dinosaur, I believe, Stegosaurus, which is
That's a title too.
Yes, that's a hell of a title. My favorite dinosaur was a Stegosaurus always, because they had the most weapons. I like those. Alright, take it away, Kawaii.
Hello, this is QUACKCAST, and the feature I've selected for this week is Good Words with Sako, the Beautiful Heart of a Stego Girl by Kaiju Kid, and it is rated T for teen. On the anniversary of a very somber occasion, Sako, a Stegosaurus with an online personality and her own vlog, decides to take a walk instead of spend an entire day on social media. This comic brings the realities of creating an online persona and all the comments and criticism that goes along with being an internet celebrity. Another aspect of this comic is the overwhelming depth and emotional intelligence that goes into Sako's recorded conversations and how she strives to spread a message of positivity to the world without ever expecting anything in return. This comic will teach ideas and thoughts that would benefit anyone willing to take the time to read them. The art is predominantly drawn in digitally sketched out black and white comic pages. Sako is an anthropomorphized Stegosaurus who exists in a world very much like our own. If you're searching for a spring of moral support, then read Good Words with Sako, the Beautiful Heart of a Stego Girl by Kaiju Kid, rated T.
And that was the featured comic. Thank you very much for reading that out, Kawaii. Good Words with Seiko, the Beautiful Heart of a Stego Girl. Okay. After that, we've got the featured music by Gum Wallace. He sent me this quite late yesterday. And it's Lich Quing's Tale. Quing. So not Lich King, but Lich Quing. This is a slow march to the deep wooden voice of a cello. Then we fall through the floor into something reminiscent of quadrophenia, or the break in Who Are You? They're both Who songs. Classical strings and staccato electronica overlaying and weaving a colourful tapestry of light. So, take it away, Gum Wallace, with Lich Quing's Tale. And that was our featured music. Thank you very much for that, Gumwallace. Lich Quing's Tale. Alright, so titles. Titles of comics. M has given us a whole bunch of different techniques for coming up with titles. And it's quite interesting. So she's got a whole bunch of topics. Know your genre. What common symbols, imagery, and themes occur in your comic? It's in the dialogue, and ask your audience. So she's got all these techniques, and she sort of lists all the different ways of coming up with it. Like, so know your genre if you're mentioning a king or a queen, and you assume there are fantasy elements involved. You know, so you can come up with your title that way, sort of knowing your genre. Give it something that evokes your genre. What common symbols are imagery? So far would air, like, you know, could be like that Avatar bender thing, airbender, firebender, that kind of stuff. It's in the dialogue, so someone says the titular line, or, you know, someone comes up with some kind of fantastic bit of dialogue there, and you have that in your title. That's a great way of doing it. I love comics. I love things like that. Or ask your audience. So you've got a beta audience who, you know, get them to read your comic and come up with something based on the comic. That'd be an interesting way to do it. I don't know if I would trust an audience.
That's that you have already made your comic, though.
Yeah. Well, some people do that. Like, you know, they really kind of, they go into, you know, testing and asking people to judge it and get their opinions before they even come up, you know, with the live version of their comic. I wouldn't put that much effort into it. I just think, like, for Pinky TA, it was just, she's got pink hair, she's got the TA on her tattoo and her earrings. That's going to be the title. That's
Not your body. I always thought TA meant tits and ass.
Yeah, that's one of the meanings. It's all the meanings. It's evocative. But the thing was, like, she's got pink hair. It's about her. Pinky. Pinky is a super generic title. So add the TA on the end, and it becomes slightly less generic. So if you search for Pinky TA, you're more likely to search for you're more likely to find my comic. So I thought that was my reasoning behind it. Make it about the character. So
for her, because as I was saying, I like the name. I guess this is more a comment about her name, but since her name is part of the title anyway. But I like that her name is Pinky, which is a name you'd associate with a far more softer, fluffier character, and then you know, this hard military babe.
So you got the Baines thing there, the contrast.
Yeah.
Yes. I went to two contrasting words.
Which he talks about extensively in the Patreon video, if you want to hear him.
Yes, it's about a half-hour story. Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of Baines titles, I always, just because of that damn single panel in Chatterbox, I've just now fixated on Wump Truck. I just think that could be a title that is so glorious. Wump Truck. For some reason.
Based on a little back and forth with me and Oz in the comments.
Yeah. It's such a cool title. That's the third title for that comic. Unofficial. So, and you guys, there's, of course, Without Moonlight, which is a very evocative title. Meaning all sorts of things, but, you know, basically when there's no moonlight, it's totally dark, so you can go and do your clandestine missions. I think that's the meaning.
that's your interpretation, and I'm going to pretend I totally intended that.
Oh, really?
That was not the way I arrived at that title, although it does absolutely fit, and I am totally saying that yes, absolutely. That, but in reality, it is part of the line of a song lyric in Greek, and because okay, we have a very big legacy of political songs in Greece. There is pretty much one for every and any occasion, right? You name the occasion, the political commentary you want to, to make. We have the songs for it. So there is. I wanted because I always, as I have said many times, I have always intended for Without Moonlight to span all of Greece's modern history, like starting from World War II and leading up to hopefully the 2000s, if I live, make it.
In real time.
So the idea was I wanted to have a title that will actually be meaningful for all these very different historical eras that, however, have a common denominator, if you like. So there is this song that talks about being suppressed in your life, either literally by being a political prisoner or metaphorically by being boxed in by, all the social inequalities and stuff that you encounter.
Yeah.
So, and the title of this song is "It Became Dark Without the Moon."
Oh.
So, and the young man cannot sleep, and so on and so forth. It is very metaphorical, and if you know when the writer, the author of the line of the lyrics writer, poet, whatever, the guy that wrote it, when he wrote it, you know exactly what he's talking about, but it applies to all eras for Greece. But I could not say Without a Moon, because that could easily allude to other kinds of moons, and I didn't want that. So it became Without Moonlight, because there is no moon.
That flows a lot better when translated to English too. Without Moonlight is just very much more fluid sounding.
Yeah. Whereas in Greek, because I also am translating it now very slowly in Greek after popular demand, the title is literally Without a Moon, but that flows in Greek. It's called Pegari, it has a different sound to it anyway. So yeah, that's where it came from. But it totally is because everyone does their stuff when it's dark outside, then there is no more.
I mean, it's also like I think of it, and it's kind of like it's the darkest times. It's nighttime, but there's also no moon. But also, it's a temporary. Like, I mean, we don't know who's going to survive, who's going to. It's a horrible time everybody's going through, but it will pass. That's it. If you think about like it literally, like the moonless night will eventually pass.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm really glad that gets across.
It's evocative. It's highly evocative. Pitt, what about the inhabitants?
It's a name I've gone back and forth on quite a few times, and I kind of like this chance to be able to talk about it a little bit because it is a comic I'm just starting off. And at this point, a lot of people probably don't know what it's about, other than the few that I've talked to. But basically, what it's going to turn into is there's this apartment, basically, that's being built in the realm of the dead, more or less. But it's being built for the living, because there's these creatures, these people that want to go and inhabit the world of the living. So instead of like killing them all off or whatever, they're trying just to not coerce, that's by force. I'm thinking of the opposite one, to convince them to go and move into this giant. At first, it's going to be just one big giant high-rise apartment for all of mankind. And so, as you can imagine, shenanigans and stuff will ensue. And it's mostly about Helmut, who is going to become the exterminator, more or less, for the site, because where the apartment is being built, it's kind of walled off from the whole dead world outside of it, where there's like demons, ghosts, and all things running loose. But there was a world there before the humans came to inhabit it. So inhabitants, I wanted it to allude to somebody who's living somewhere, but I didn't want to say who in particular, because there's, I'm not going to say it's an allegory for gentrification, but I'm taking a lot of ideas from it. You know, what is being replaced in this world? You know, are these demons and ghosts just, you know, nasty things to be killed off? You know, or what about, you know, how do you make this world work, this new world, for these humans that are supposed to live into this place? You know, one of the main characters, she's basically the manager of it. You got a glimpse of her before I started the comic over. Dolores, she had that big beehive and that kind of pastel 1950s look to her. But so she's the manager of the place, and she has her own bosses and stuff. But basically, she keeps on trying to find ways, like, how do I make it enticing for humans to move into? So she's like, you know, at first she's very basic, like, what makes humans happy? Fighting, fucking, and sleeping and eating. So she's like, if I have these things covered, they'll be happy, but they're not happy. And then, like, you know, if I decorate, like, how do we decorate it so it's most enticing? But these are people from all over the world and stuff. And like, even from maybe even possibly like different time eras and stuff. So you have that going on, and just all these different ideas. So inhabitants refers to the main reason for what Helmut does and why he's going to be going through his story is because of all these different inhabitations and people in this and other things in this one spot who are inhabiting it. Sometimes I like the title, sometimes I don't. And there's all this other stuff that's going to be happening with it. Like for me, it lacks the intrigue of putrid meat, like a title like that. I don't want it to be as visceral as putrid meat sounds, but for some reason the word by itself, but I don't want it to be to become convoluted as a title either. I want it to be a natural word that just fits it. I don't want to be like inhabitants of the other world or something like that.
Right.
For now, inhabitants has been the thing that's worked. I was thinking about leftovers as well, which I thought gave it kind of a fun sound, you know, because it's not. And I think one of the reasons why inhabitants kind of bothered me a little bit is maybe it sounded too serious, but it is. The tone in the series is going to be kind of a mix of different things. But now I grow on it more and more, and I can't think of anything better. So maybe it will kind of grow on the story as I go, because it is still just beginning. So, so it's inhabitants.
Yeah.
For me, the title Inhabitants is very intriguing, because not necessarily, but there is this connotation of encroachment, like inhabitants. But also, it might not be encroachment. It might be, the people that inhabit a particular environment, but the environment, there's something that doesn't ring completely natural in a sense, and that, to me at least, is intriguing. I like it.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad then. Maybe it'll probably just stay that way.
I mean, eventually, like, as it keeps going, the story becomes, like, the title becomes the story, right? And the story it defines what that is. Kind of.
That's true.
So it's like,
well,
yeah.
For some reason, whenever I hear the title and I see Helmet's, is he Helmet's in the comic? Sorry, with the
yeah, he is.
Yeah, with the no.
Mine have heard.
With the no nose, and I think of what's that band, the Residents with the eyeballs?
Oh yeah.
And every single time, it evokes to me that image.
Oh really?
Yeah, the Residents, the inhabitants.
Okay, that'll do then. All right, we're sticking with it. That does it.
It works.
And I don't know why that doesn't occur to anyone else, because that's always been my association.
I was thinking of Residents before, which I'm endeared to them because of just my past with my brother and stuff like that. But and I always liked them. But he kind of brainwashed me when I was a 5-year, like, I don't know if I was as young as 5, but as young as I could remember, we'd sit in his room and listen to the Resonance all the time. So cool. I think that sound really influenced just a lot of my imagination and stuff. That really eclectic, weird, like, you don't really know what to call it. Like, avant-garde doesn't describe it correctly. Like, it's still too vague. But anyway, but I considered saying, like, what if I just use the title Residence to invoke that kind of image, maybe. But I don't want to. It's already tied to the Residents, and it's not like it's a tribute comic, and I just went with Inhabitants. So I'm glad. Long story short, I'm glad that it invokes that kind of feeling. Anyway.
So should we talk about Tance's Twitter thing that she invented? No, Tance's Twitter thing that she's. I know. I was just teasing.
He was just correcting himself.
I was teasing you, but the Tance's thing that she's brung up is a Twitter game where you come up with an alternative humorous title for your comic and an alternative serious title for your comic. Was that it?
Mm-hmm. Like what it would be, like an alternative title that would serious in the sense that it would reflect the tone of your comic just as your current title does.
Mm-hmm.
And also one that is humorous because, it's ironic and it would totally clashes with your actual comic.
Okay.
That's the joke.
So what would yours be for Without Moonlight?
Well, the serious one would be, and I have the answers because I played the game. I'm not that.
You can cheat.
The serious one would be Fox's Path, because really it is about his life and the path that he cuts through life as he goes through the historical stuff. And I guess that is a spoiler that at least I intend for him to live. Okay, this is what I intend for him.
Listen, people, you already got one corpse. You don't need any more.
And the humorous one I came up with was Keeping Up with Partisans.
Keeping Up with the Partisans. That's awesome.
I almost want you to make a little gag side comic now called Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
And they've all got enormous butts.
Or they pretend they have enormous butts, but they have pads in their butts.
They pad them with spare magazines
And they make
rations.
a photo shoot where they actually, hold their towels and stuff, and they sit on them really suggestively with a huge butt. And that's the comic, people. That's what you are coming here to see.
What about you, Pitt? What would be an alternative title for what? Putrid Meat or Inhabitants?
Oh, shoot. Well, I guess for Inhabitants, I already mentioned that I was considering Leftovers, which still strikes me as kind of funny because I just imagine a bunch of gross old food sitting in back of the fridge that's all moldy.
That's a very pit-faced title.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to go for something completely serious, I don't know. Avengers Endgame. I don't know.
You dickhead.
I got one for you.
Huh.
I'll see you in Helmet.
Oh my god, that's awesome, Bane.
Could be a chapter title at least.
That might be. I could see it on like a almost like a postcard. Ooh, there's an idea. Okay.
There you go.
That retro kind of writing on it, like you've gone to like the Poconos or something. See you in Helmet.
Oh god.
If I'm gonna have a character with hell in the name, I might as well utilize it.
Yeah.
That is genius.
Your ability for pun never ceases to amaze me, Baines.
Yes.
It's a superpower. If
it's a calling.
it is a superpower. The pun man. The Punisher.
Not a super useful one, except in certain situations.
The Punisher.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
It was a horrible pun with pun in the name, so it was the worst of all worlds. So
I do love making up titles though too, actually. Like in the video store where my series is, especially when I did the animated ones, that like I would do a lot of posters in the background. I have some in the comic too, with all these titles. They're not puns, but like just all these like hopefully amusing like movie titles and stuff like that. So they're really fun to think of.
So that must mean you've got a serious one for Typical Strange.
I just had to make it up now. I did have an alternate one that was an early contender for the title. It was called Fake a Nice Day.
Oh, that's really good.
I really like it. It was close. It was a close contest.
That's clever.
Yeah, it's kind of good for their workplace kind of thing.
What about a funny one for it?
Well, I had to work it out just during this podcast. Well, that was the funny one.
Oh.
Fake a Nice Day was the funny one. I know it's not super funny, but...
Well, that would work as a serious one.
Okay, well, good.
That's what I was
here's
thinking.
the funny one. The funny one is The Winter of Our Youth.
They all sound so sad.
Yeah, because they're both kind of sad. Okay, I'll work on the funny one.
Sad clown. Oh, jeez. Well, man, I don't know one for Pinky TA at all. I mean, pretty easy to come up with titles for that one though, because Pinky TA is a pretty shit title, to be honest. I mean, I just stick with it because that's what I came up with, but it's not a good title. Another title would be Sex War, I would call it as, which has no meaning to the comic whatsoever, but it's cool.
Oh,
And now it needs to be sung by Tom Jones.
Sex War, Sex War.
I love it. I kind of want you to rename it.
Yeah.
Like honestly, that's amazing.
Ah, jeez. Okay, that will be the title of the Quackcast.
Sex war.
So totally misleading.
You get lots of viewers. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you'll have a whole bunch of disappointed people clicking onto that comic.
You end up a contender in the adult comics in next year's Drunkduck Award. You have no idea why.
Oh, jeez. So that would be my serious title. And
There you go.
my comedic title based on the context of the comic would be I don't know, Pink Clown. That's I don't know, because one of the comics. Ponky TA. I'm not sure. These are things that other characters have called Pinky. So I don't
Dying it pink.
know. Dying it pink.
Carpets and drapes, because do the carpets.
There you go. There you go. Lots of pubic-based titles. That's basically it. Pubic TA.
Shaggy Rock.
Exactly.
Morning season.
The stink in the pink.
Oh god. Oh.
You're gonna end up with a porn title no matter what you do.
I'm gonna call it With Moonlight.
There you go.
Oh,
They're both war comics.
actually, it is even a freaking war comic, and it will be with moonlight, and it will have an enormous moon.
It's perfect. It's your antithesis.
Exactly.
Two sides of the same coin, baby. Two sides.
Whereas I don't have any moons. Even when there are moons to be shown, they are off camera.
Exactly. This is Pinky TA is the backside of Without Moonlight. This is where you see the moons.
There's no mystery. There's no everything is just laid out bare in the light.
Exactly. It's Pinky TA is without moonlight's unspeakable.
What if we could ramshackle it somehow so they're technically part of the same universe? Because his takes place in an alternate 1920s, and then yours 1940s. So like,
it's the same timeline, baby.
True.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
Pinky TA leads to Without Moonlight. It's a direct line.
Like Russia, we haven't seen the Russians yet. Maybe they all have novelty uniforms, and that's how they scare Hitler away.
They do. That's how they beat them. It wasn't the winter. It wasn't Russia itself that beat the Germans. It was arseless trousers.
all that pink fucking hair.
Oh, another title for Pinky TA could be Pink Draft or Pinky Drafty.
Pink draft.
What was the second one? Pink draft.
Pinky drafty. Drafty Pinky. I'm sorry.
One time, Oz, you called her Stinky Pinky at least one time, and I fell in love with that. And I think that would be a perfect.
It would be. Stinky Pinky, why not? Why not?
And why is she stinky? Because she sits in a chopper all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Either or.
Exactly. It happens. It's a normal bodily function, guys. Come on. Sweat. Talking about.
And then it became all the more apparent from that weird side story that we wrote that never got published, where she and Bones fell in love and
This never happened.
not happened on the toilet.
This never happened.
How bad we could get with it, I think. We were just like...
Yeah, this was an evil case of one-upmanship.
That's like the PSA on why role playing can be extremely dangerous.
Not even Dungeons and Dragons, not even once.
Not even. Yeah, this is your brain on drugs, your brain on roleplay. This is
Exactly. Brain role play.
Be so careful. Then there's Bottomless Waitress. We sort of mentioned this one. Now, a boring title would be something like Ava's Diner. We talked about.
We don't want boring though. We want an equivalent title.
Okay.
Like bottomless waitress, but equivalent.
Oh, an equivalent.
The Ava's Diner might work as the more dramatic title, possibly, with a different tone. Is that the game?
You know, this is an interesting point because we're talking about titles on their own, but when you see a title, when you actually see it, that can oftentimes create a different impact. So if it was like Ava's Diner and just like, I don't know, just like Comic Sans or something, I don't know, they'd be like, oh, who fucking cares? But like, that's one of the reasons why I made Inhabitants title the way I did, because I think that's why it gives off the impression to you, Oz, that it does, is because it's that weird, steepled, weird look.
Yeah, it's like a pyramid thing designed for the title.
So I think that's part of the way that you understand the tone and the meaning of the title is in the type and the style of it itself. So if you were to use Ava's Diner as a title, how do you think you design it?
Would be Art Deco, like I've got on the front of the diner. It would be either Art Deco or that kind of a script kind of be stylishly done, so it will be confusing to people. They think they're getting something way different from what they're getting.
Done a completely different way, it could be like very stark and like a very flat plane, and you just see like a small faraway image of the diner sitting on this kind of desert plain, and then the lettering is very simple, so it comes across as this kind of like, to me, like that would suggest the vibe of like, you know, a more dour,
lonely
like,
place. Sounds
like
like an indie movie.
Diner in the 50s or 60s or something like that, like sort of the small real life thing or something.
Or maybe something like From Dusk Till Dawn as well, potentially.
That's true. It could be, yeah, that could suggest like a horror thing or something. Yeah, that's right.
Ava's Diner.
And Ava is a vampire. It is hair diner. It is hair diner.
You're on the menu at
Yeah.
Ava's Diner.
Oh, there you go. Oh my God, maybe this is a B movie.
Yeah. That would be a fun B movie. Ava's diner.
Well, for a serious title, I would have it as Jane's Love Life. Oh God, that would be so lame.
Jane interrupted.
Yeah, Jane's the disillusionment of Jane.
How about given latest developments, Greg's Cherry?
Oh God, Greg's turn. Oh no. Or Polly settles.
What about Flapjacks of Loneliness?
Oh God, yes.
That sounds like a Clint Eastwood directed movie.
Like Bridges of Madison County.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh jeez. Well, what would be a funny title for it then? Well, I think we've already come up with enough. Actually, they could work as either or. All right, putrid meat.
Cheek
Cheek to cheek. Cheek to cheek.
It's like a sitcom.
I love it.
That's
perfect.
evocative.
Well, it's great because we're still coming up with possible chapter titles, to say the least.
Yeah.
That's true. Very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
That's
Jeez.
what I did with Putrid Meat. Because at first I called it Drop Dead before it achieved its final form. And I decided on Putrid Meat just because it just fits like a glove. I love it. But I still loved Drop Dead, so I used that as a chapter title. I might do it a few more times before my life is over.
Mhm.
But yeah, Putrid Meat. I don't know. I mean, it's already kind of funny. Like Bottomless Waitress is already pretty funny. But Putrid Meat. Let's see.
Rotting Red. I don't know, because it evokes his hair red. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. That would be that Rotting Red sounds like a urban legend or something.
Ah, that's good, Terrence.
And
Tale. Yeah, I like that.
rotten is red in German. So
Yeah. Cool.
you got multiple meanings. What was Chance's thing?
The Garbage Man's Tale.
Oh, that's awesome! As a serious title, yeah.
Very chocolate style.
I could see it in a very dire, like, bones standing conflicted in the middle of the desert as the sandstorm wells up behind him. And there's like just a lone bag of like decomposing trash at his feet.
Exactly. And he has the hero pose, the standing hero pose from behind, like the back angle, with backlit green fumes.
Stink fumes. That's perfect. A Garbage Man's Tale. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Story by
It sounds like one of those Kevin Costner epics from back in the day.
Yeah, it does.
The Postman or
Oh.
Waterboy. No, Waterworld.
Yeah.
The Rotten Dozen, Tense just said.
That sounds like a story about eggs gone bad.
It does.
Yeah, but it could also be like a really rotten spaghetti western. So,
That's right.
Just put rotten in any title and we'll give it a makeover.
yeah,
That's scary.
for a handful of credits.
She's just stealing Clint Eastwood movies now.
Oh,
Jeez. Kelly's meat. Oh, Bones Heroes. No. I'm trying to Kelly's Heroes. It doesn't work. Only
We'll
Chance
think of
is
the
the
perfect
master.
thing after the cast.
So, what about I'm trying to think of the real title for it now, but and I can't. What's your other comic? Brave Resistance. There we are.
Oh, yeah.
So that is just a comic. That the title is like evokes exactly what the resistance is. Well, no, that's a very clever one because you got Brave, you got the Native American guy. He's a Brave, and Resistance. Oh, geez, that's clever.
Why do you sound sarcastic?
No, that's unintentional. That's unintentional. I'm sincere.
Thank
you. Thank you. We are very clever girls.
Clever girl. No, genuinely, I am in admiration of that. That's because I didn't get it. I've never gotten that. I've only just gotten that now, so I'm slow. I'm Internet Explorer slow. But so what would
help that you haven't updated it for 50 years? So
that's you haven't updated it since the Second World War. So so what would be an alternative title to Brave Resistance?
Long hiatus.
Wuthering Heights. An alternative serious title in the sense that it could reflect the story.
Hunting or Hunter, because his name is Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter. That would be a very kitschy kind of title, though. Something with Hunter in it.
Duck Hunter.
Duck.
The Hunt.
Nazi Hunter. That would be so kitschy.
That would be misleading because they don't actually go hunting Nazis.
But it's his name, so it works anyway.
And they will kind of go hunting Nazis.
I said yes.
Yeah. But that would be the title if you had if you were doing it as a novel, one of those 500-page novels.
You know what? Another title I would consider would be Warpath.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's really good. You've got to change the title of your comic now to Warpath.
No.
That's
Brave Resistance is better.
That's not bad though. What about a comedic title? Oh, we've already come up with those. Long hiatus.
Comedic title.
It's hard because it's such a serious comic. I know, Nikos, something to do with him. Dr.
Field
Bastard.
Hospital.
What was that?
Field Hospital.
Field Hospital. Dr. Bastard is what I like.
Bastard. Yeah, but it's not. Nikos is a pretty important character, but he's not like he's a main character. He's not the main character. So even for a fine title.
Airplane 4. Were there 3 airplane movies? Because he crashed it. So that's how long
It's Dr. Bastard. That's what it is. I'm sorry.
I would definitely have to look at a comic with that title.
It's a winner. So the funny thing is that this game of coming up with alternative titles actually works to give successful titles in a way, because it makes it punchy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a bad technique. I like it. So even the funny titles actually give titles that work, which is the ironic thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's a valid technique.
It is, and it helps you perhaps, look again at the sum of your story and get like the gist of the distilled essence.
Yeah.
yeah. Like, what's the core of
Mm-hmm.
your story? Like, what's the
Yeah.
hidden as it might be? Like, what is it hinging on?
And it could also be a good way to sort of turn up hidden parts of your comic that you didn't really realize are like worth focusing on, that highlight your comic. And it's a great way to come up with ideas for buying URLs for your comic to direct people to it.
Yeah.
Very sneakily. Well, we are actually towards the end of the time for the QUACKCAST, so we should wrap it up, I think.
Yeah, that was fun for us. Okay.
Yeah, fun for us. Thank you very much for listening to our QUACKCAST. And happy birthday to Pitface.
Happy
Hey.
birthday.
This is the afterbirth.
The afterbirth. So, goodbye, people. Goodbye.
Bye.